Okay guys, welcome back to another video. I'm gonna make a quick little video introducing types of training collars that you can use on your dog. I don't have all the different kinds. I've got a couple that I like to use, but I will explain pretty much everything that I know about. So let's start off with explaining the use of a training collar or a correctional collar. So when you have a dog, so dogs learn through 4 quadrants of operant conditioning, and it's a lot of words, I get it. But basically that means dogs learn through positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. And it's all different terms for saying they learn from good experiences or good things happen to them at certain times, or things they don't like happen to them, or things get taken away from them, and that all of these different reinforcements and punishments will shape the dog's behavior. With my puppy, I taught her that if she sits when I ask, it's really good for her. And she is now starting to learn, on the flip side, if she does not sit when I ask her to, it can be uncomfortable because I will pull up on the leash until she sits. So I'm annoying her. That's negative reinforcement. So we do not live in a world where things are positive only, and it's a nice thought, but we don't live in that world. So if you do not correct your dog, there will be experiences that will correct your dog anyways. So you might as well do it fairly so you can, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I will here's an example. Say I want my dog to be off leash, or I let my dog off leash, and I only use food with her to recall her, but she sees a bunny rabbit and she chases it and she runs to the road, and she could get hit by a car. It happens every day. Millions of dogs get hit by cars each year. So, but I didn't want to use a correction for that behavior because I thought because it was mean. This is just a scenario. I thought it was mean, so I wasn't gonna use that correction. But my dog got killed. She got hit by a car. Like, the world will correct your dog. Other dogs will also correct your dog if it misbehaves or if it's out of line. So you might as well be the one to guide your dog along the way. So that is the overview. And I give corrections through using training collars. So that is an easy way for me to communicate, hey, stop that. But it's important for me. I also communicate, yes, I like that. Here's a reward. Here's a ball. Here's some love. Here's a treat. I do both. You need to do both. Okay? Anyways, so that's why I use training collars. It's an easier way for me to correct my dog, and I can be very pinpointed and my timing can be good. So that being said, with correctional collars, the first collar I would start with would be, so say my puppy came up on 4.5 months and I was ready for her to stop wearing her flat collar because she was getting to pull very strongly, very, very strongly on the collar. And I can pop her on the flat collar and give her a little correction, but she's a working line shepherd. She doesn't give 2 SHITs about a flat collar. So when it was the right time, I moved her up to a Starkmark collar, and it's plastic. And this collar doesn't have as much bite to it as a prong collar. So this is good for dogs that are more sensitive, but they're not sensitive enough for a martingale collar or a flat collar or a slip lead. If they need something a little bit more to discourage tension on the leash, because how it works is this tightens, and it tightens evenly around like that. Tightens up the collar and this slides. There you go. So it slides like that, and it kind of constricts around the neck, and it gives them like a little pinch. and I control how much pinch it gives the dog. So I can be very light if I need to. So the dog starts to pull and I give it, and I don't let it pull anymore, and it feels the tension. And then when the dog learns to back off the tension, then it's learning that the leash being loose is really nice. That's comfortable. So pulling is uncomfortable. So that's helping me teach my dog that's not the behavior I want. I don't want you to pull. So that's why I like these collars. You do have to recognize dogs can get accustomed to the pressure. So you don't want to just walk them with constant tension. You should bump them off of it once they've worn the collar for a while. Like when they first wear it, they're gonna be very sensitive to it. So you don't need to do that. Okay, step up. Zula is almost 6 months now. She's wearing a prong collar, and this is a Herm Sprenger, and this is the only brand I would recommend you get. The Herm Sprenger has a trachea plate, protects their throat, but a prong collar is a lot safer than the other collars actually, because again, it tightens evenly around the neck. It doesn't just put constant tension on their throat like a flat collar. So that's why I like this collar a lot, and it is very, very effective to discourage pulling. It communicates very well, and it's the same mechanism that I would say as the Starkmark Collar. If you are starting a dog that is maybe more sensitive, you can even double ring, clip both the rings instead of just the D-ring. If you double ring it, it doesn't tighten. And so that can be helpful when introducing dogs to this collar. You open it through these links on the side, and you can adjust it as well. If if your dog is gonna wear it for the first time, it can be a little looser. But in general, you probably want this prong collar to be higher and tighter, so up kind of behind the ears. So that's what I'd recommend with this. And there's different sizes. This is a 2.25 millimeter. There's also like a 3.25 and a 3.5, and it goes up. But I pretty much use a 2.25 and like a 3.25. So that's what I would recommend. And then those are the two main collars I will use, and then the E-collar. So this is an electric collar. So it uses a TENS unit. It's not a static shock. So I think that's what a lot of people think, and they're like, oh, it's gonna burn the dog's neck off. No, it's a TENS unit. So when you go to physical therapy and you get a TENS unit, like that's the kind of stimulation it'll do. So I'm not trying to say it can't be uncomfortable, because there are certainly times that I need it to be uncomfortable. So when my dog's booking it after a cat outside and I correct it, I want it to be uncomfortable, because it has to be. My dog is in such a high drive state. But it can also be as subtle as just a little tingle. Like there's a lot of pet dogs that I train and they work on like a 5, Zula will probably work a lot higher than a 5. She's not ready for this yet. But when you use an electric collar, you need to have all of your foundational training done. This is not something you slap on and the dog trains itself. It will not work that way. What'll happen is you put it on and your dog's gonna be confused. And unless they piece it together, because when I first used it on my dogs or my German Shepherd, he was good. I mean, he knew. He just picked it up right away. I did so much foundational training with him that when I corrected him and gave him the command again that I wanted, he was like, psh, got it. My Doberman, I did not do enough foundational training first, and she's fine, but she there's nothing wrong with her, but I should have done more foundational training. I rushed the process a little bit with her. So my advice is, wait till they're getting closer to a year old. You've done all your foundational training, and then you can think about layering in corrections. And I would look up different videos on how to do so. And I'm gonna make a whole series on how I started with Zula, and I'm gonna go into the process. So that should help you guys. But I would only recommend you get a higher end e-collar. You should only be getting something from either Dogtra, Garmin, or Mini Educator, and this is a Mini Educator. And Mini Educator is probably like the main e-collar brand, and then next to that would be Dogtra. But I like Mini Educator because there's lots of different levels. I don't want an e-collar that only has 15 levels because you can't adjust the intensity in between those levels very much. It's either like, you know, low or it's boom, it's hot. So you want to have an e-collar that's got lots of different levels for it. So anyways, that's my video on the basic training collars that I personally use. My camera's actually dying, so I have to go, but I can make another video explaining other training collars, but these are the main ones that will be applicable to most pet owners and working dogs. So I hope that helps. Give it a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.